The natural history of Mars, a question beneath the red sky. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if one of those glowing dots could hold the story of life itself? Among the countless stars and planets, one world in particular has always whispered to us: Mars. Why Mars? Why does this barren red world capture so much of our imagination? It's dry. It's cold. It looks lifeless. And yet, scientists believe that billions of years ago, Mars may have been anything but dead. Imagine rivers carving through valleys, lakes stretching across craters, and even a vast ocean covering parts of its northern hemisphere. Mars, a planet that may once have been alive. And so today, on KM's Celestial Journey, we dive into the natural history of Mars, its fiery birth, its golden age, its decline, and the lingering mysteries that still haunt this lonely desert world. Born from fire. 4.5 billion years ago, there was no Mars as we know it. No deserts. No red dust storms. No silent canyons. Back then, the solar system itself was a storm of fire and chaos. Imagine space not as the calm, endless black we see today, but as a battlefield of stone and flame. Clouds of dust and gas swirled like titans clashing in the void. Asteroids and fragments, some as small as pebbles, others as vast as mountains, slammed into one another again and again. From this endless violence, worlds began to take shape. Earth was there, still molten, glowing like a furnace. Venus boiled with poisonous heat. And among these siblings, another planet was stirring to life: Mars. It wasn't red yet. It wasn't cold. It wasn't silent. In those first wild moments, Mars was a world of fire. Its surface churned with molten rock. Its skies were thick with smoke and ash. Its heart pounded with the heat of creation. But here's the question that scientists still wrestle with. What made Mars so different from Earth, even though they were born side by side? Why did one grow into a thriving blue world, while the other was destined to fall silent? The answer lies in the fragile beginning. When Mars was born, it was smaller than Earth, just over half the size. That difference may seem small, but in the story of planets, size means survival. Size means gravity. Size means whether you can hold onto the air around you or watch it slip away into the cold dark of space. Yet in its fiery youth, Mars held promise. Asteroids and comets rained down, delivering not just destruction, but gifts: minerals, carbon, and above all, water. Water in the form of ice, locked within rocks, melting into vapor under the planet's blazing heat. The young planet roared with volcanoes. Imagine mountains taller than Everest vomiting rivers of lava, painting the ground with fire. The crust cracked and folded, reshaped again and again. With every eruption, gases burst into the air, building a thick, suffocating atmosphere. For a time, Mars looked less like the silent desert we know today, and more like a world in the making, a world that might one day carry life. But curiosity lingers here. What did Mars really look like in those first 100 million years? Some scientists imagine it cloaked in oceans of lava, glowing red under a haze of ash. Others believe water already pooled on the surface, boiling under the weight of a newborn sky. Which is true. We don't yet know. And that not knowing is what keeps us staring at the red planet with wonder. As Mars cooled, something incredible happened. Its crust hardened, no longer just molten rivers, but rock, solid and jagged. Craters formed from endless impacts. Valleys began to stretch. And slowly the violence gave way to possibility. But here's where curiosity stirs again. Could Mars, in those fleeting moments, have already created the conditions for life? We know Earth's earliest life may have appeared when it, too, was barely stable, when volcanoes raged and oceans boiled. If Earth could nurture life so early, could Mars have done the same? Imagine primitive cells forming in volcanic pools, stirred by lightning and heat. Imagine microbes clinging to minerals, finding shelter in cracks of rock. If it happened here, could it have happened there? The thought is haunting, because if it did, where are they now? In the fiery youth of Mars, another mystery emerges. Deep inside the planet, its core churned with molten metal. This movement generated a magnetic field, a shield, wrapping Mars in invisible armor, protecting it from the fury of the sun. Without such a shield, radiation tears a planet apart. But with it, Mars had a chance. A chance to hold on to its atmosphere. A chance to keep its water. A chance to grow into a true sibling of Earth. And so, for millions of years, Mars carried this invisible gift. The magnetic field hummed, the skies thickened, and the surface, though violent, was preparing for something more. But here's where curiosity gnaws at us again. Why didn't Mars keep this gift? Why did its shield fade? And what would the planet look like today if it hadn't? Let's pause for a moment and picture this. You are standing on young Mars. The ground beneath you trembles with eruptions. The sky above glows not blue, but orange, choked with volcanic ash. Bolts of lightning crack through the haze. In the distance, rivers of lava pour down mountains taller than anything Earth will ever know. It is a violent world, a dangerous world. But in that chaos lies beauty, and perhaps even the first whispers of life. Does it not make you wonder if life truly requires calm, or if life is born in the storm? As time passed, the world began to shift again. Mars cooled further. The molten seas hardened into plains of basalt. Volcanoes, still enormous, shaped the land but began to quiet. The air thinned, but it was still enough to trap warmth, still enough to hold clouds. Mars was no longer a fiery infant. It was stepping into its youth. And in this youth, Mars looked almost Earth-like. That thought alone is breathtaking, because it suggests that once, not long after its violent birth, Mars may have been a place of running rivers, falling rain, and glimmering seas. But how long did that moment last? 1,000,000 years? 100 million? Long enough for life to take hold, or too short for it to ever stand a chance? The truth is hidden in stone, buried beneath dust, waiting for us to uncover. Every 2 minutes of this story, Mars pulls us deeper into its mystery. It's not just a planet, it's a mirror. It shows us the fragility of worlds. How a little less gravity, a little less heat, a little less protection can change destiny forever. Mars was born from fire. It was carved by violence. It was gifted with water, atmosphere, and a magnetic shield. And for a time, it was a world of promise. But promise does not always last. And the question that haunts us still is this. When Mars stood on the edge of greatness, what happened? Why did its shield falter? Why did its oceans vanish? Why did it fall silent while Earth bloomed with life? We do not yet know, but we search. And with every rover, every satellite, every fragment of data, we move closer to answers. Because hidden in the natural history of Mars may be the greatest secret of all, a world of rivers and seas. Close your eyes for a moment and picture Mars. Not the Mars we know today. Not the dry, cracked desert painted in dust and rust. But a Mars that lived, breathed, and shimmered with water. Yes, water. The very element we call life's greatest companion. Billions of years ago, Mars may have been wrapped in clouds, its atmosphere thicker, its skies dim but nurturing. The planet's surface wasn't the wasteland of rock we see now. It was sculpted by liquid rivers, rushing streams, and glimmering lakes that mirrored the pale light of a younger sun. Imagine standing there. The horizon stretches far, and instead of dunes of dust, you see valleys carved by flowing streams. You hear the trickle of water echoing through canyons, a sound that today would feel impossible on such a barren world. And yet, the evidence remains. Dry riverbeds, delta formations, shorelines etched like scars into the land. Proof that Mars once wore a very different face. But how much water are we talking about? Scientists believe an entire ocean may have covered Mars's northern hemisphere. An ocean stretching wide and deep, larger than the Arctic Ocean on Earth. An ocean that could have lapped against shores, rolled with waves, and harbored mysteries we can only guess at. Pause here. Think about it. If Mars once had an ocean, did it have rain? Did clouds drift across its sky? Did thunder rumble through the atmosphere, releasing flashes of lightning over the red land? Could Mars have once had weather so similar to Earth that it felt like a cousin, not a stranger? The thought pulls us closer. Because where there's rain, there are rivers. And Mars had rivers, miles of them. Channels cut into the soil, weaving and winding like veins across a living body. They tell us of water, not just spilling, but flowing. Day after day, year after year, long enough to carve valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon. Have you heard of Valles Marineris? The largest canyon in the solar system. It's more than 4,000 kilometers long, and parts of it are up to 7 kilometers deep. To put that in perspective, if you stood at its edge looking across, you wouldn't even see the other side. The curvature of Mars itself would block your view. And here's the curious thing. This canyon wasn't carved only by tectonic shifts. Some scientists believe water helped shape it. Yes, water pouring, rushing, flooding through the Martian crust, tearing open valleys that now stretch across an entire planet. But wait. If there were rivers, lakes, and even oceans, could there have been ecosystems? Microbial colonies hiding in the mud, clinging to mineral-rich springs, feeding on energy from hydrothermal vents? Could there have been more than microbes? Perhaps organisms we cannot even imagine, adapted to Martian waters in ways beyond Earth's patterns? Every piece of evidence hints at possibilities but never answers. And that's what makes it so haunting. Pause and consider this. We know Earth was teeming with microbial life more than 3 billion years ago. At the very same time, Mars was wet. Mars was warm. Mars was welcoming. So did both planets cradle life together? Did two cradles of existence swing side by side under the same sun, only for one to fall silent? The idea is thrilling and unsettling. Picture now the ancient lakes of Mars. Not tiny puddles, but vast basins filled with shimmering water. One of the most famous is Jezero Crater. Today it is a dry wound in the ground, its edges sharp with time. But once, it was a lake. A true lake fed by rivers that carried sediment, clay, and minerals into its depths. This is why NASA sent the Perseverance rover there, to seek out those sediments, to sift the clay, and to ask whether something once lived there. Still carrying whispers of a vanished age. The mud of Jezero could hold fossils too small for our eyes to see, but large enough to answer one of humanity's oldest questions. And yet Jezero is only one among many. Craters across Mars, Gale, Holden, Aberswald, bear the unmistakable fingerprints of water. Channels feeding in, deltas spreading wide, deposits layered like the pages of a diary. Each one telling a chapter of a story we are still struggling to read. But here's the curiosity. If Mars had so much water, why did it vanish? What happened to the rivers that once ran free? Why did the oceans retreat? The answer is part of the tragedy of Mars. Its atmosphere, once thick, began to thin. Its magnetic shield faded, and with it, the skies were stripped away. As the air thinned, the water evaporated, escaping into space or freezing beneath the soil. But here's the question that grips scientists even now. Did all the water vanish? Or is it still there, hiding, waiting, locked in places we cannot yet reach? Some evidence suggests that beneath layers of ice and dust, liquid water may still exist. Not oceans on the surface, but underground reservoirs, salty, briny, protected from the cold. Wouldn't it cling on in those secret dark pockets, surviving against all odds? Curiosity builds. Whether Mars, even now, carries the spark of life. Let's step back for a moment. Think about Earth in its youth, rains falling for millions of years, carving valleys, filling seas, nourishing the first cells of life. Now imagine Mars, billions of years ago, mirroring that scene. A smaller Earth. A sibling world. Side by side with us in the solar system, walking the same path. And then, imagine Mars diverging. One world kept its shield, its thick skies, its oceans. The other lost them. One world grew forests, animals, civilizations. The other grew silent. But silence doesn't mean emptiness. Silence doesn't mean absence. This is why Mars is more than a planet of dust. It is a planet of memory, a planet of questions, a planet that holds out the possibility that we are not alone, that we never were. Pause and let that sink in. If Mars had water, and if water means life, then the universe may not be as empty as it sometimes feels. And here's something that almost feels like fate. The rivers of Mars are gone, but their paths remain. The valleys are dry, but their shapes are eternal. They remind us that even when water vanishes, its fingerprints endure. So what would it feel like to walk there now? To trace those riverbeds with your own steps? To follow the path of water long vanished, knowing you are walking in the ghost of a river? Would it feel like discovery? Or would it feel like grief? That is the strange beauty of Mars. It is not alive, and yet it feels alive in memory. It is not blue and green anymore, and yet the evidence of blue and green still lingers. And every 2 minutes of thought leads to the same endless question. What if life was there? What if life is still there? The rise of giants. Mars is not just a barren rock, it is a land of giants. Colossal landscapes that stretch farther, rise higher, and plunge deeper than anything our Earth could ever imagine. When you stand, at least in your mind, on the dusty surface of Mars, you are not looking at ordinary mountains or ordinary valleys. You are staring at scars written on a planetary scale. The first of these titans is Olympus Mons. Olympus Mons is not simply a mountain. It is a monster. It towers 13.6 miles high, about 3 times taller than Mount Everest. Its base stretches so wide across the Martian horizon that if you stood at the foot of it, you would not even see its peak. The curve of the planet itself hides the top from your view. Imagine that, a mountain so large it bends with the planet. But here is where the mystery begins. Why did Mars create a volcano so large, so massive, so utterly unmatched in the solar system? The answer may lie in the way Mars was built. Unlike Earth, Mars does not have tectonic plates shifting and grinding across its surface. On Earth, volcanoes are spread out, formed where plates collide or drift apart. But on Mars, the crust stayed still. That meant hot magma could rise again and again through the same spot, piling higher and wider over millions of years. And so Olympus Mons grew. It erupted again and again and again. Layer upon layer, lava flowed like oceans of fire, solidifying into a mountain that defied imagination. But here's the question that lingers like a whisper. Could Olympus Mons still erupt? Scientists debate it. Some say the volcano has been dormant for tens of millions of years. Others believe it may only be asleep, waiting. Imagine the sky of Mars glowing red, lava rivers spreading across the plains, reshaping the surface once more. If Olympus Mons erupted today, it would be one of the most dramatic natural events in the history of our solar system. And that's only the beginning. Because Mars doesn't have just one giant. It has many. Scattered across its surface are volcanoes so enormous, they make Earth's greatest peaks look like shadows. Arsia Mons, Pavonis Mons, Ascrias Mons. Together, they form the Tharsis Rise, a volcanic plateau so massive it alone reshaped the entire planet. Think about this. The Tharsis region is so heavy, so colossal, that it actually tilted the axis of Mars. Entire oceans, if they existed, may have shifted because of it. That means landscapes, climates, even the possibility of life on Mars was shaped by these silent giants. But curiosity grows deeper here. Why was Mars so volcanically active in the first place? Did the planet once hold more heat in its heart than we thought? Or did the lack of tectonic movement allow energy to erupt upward in ways Earth never could? If we knew the answer, we might understand not just Mars, but how rocky planets live and die. Yet the story of Mars's giants is not only about mountains that scrape the sky. It is also about valleys so deep they could swallow continents. Enter Valles Marineris. Olympus Mons is the tallest monument on Mars. Valles Marineris is the deepest wound. It stretches more than 2,500 miles long. To put that in perspective, if Valles Marineris were placed on Earth, it would stretch across the entire United States from coast to coast. And in places it plunges 7 miles deep. 7 miles. That is deeper than Mount Everest is tall. But what carved such a scar into the surface of Mars? The mystery remains. Some believe it was formed by the stretching and cracking of the Martian crust, pulled apart by the weight of the Tharsis Rise. Others think ancient rivers may have widened and deepened the valleys, shaping them into the monstrous canyons we see today. Here's the haunting thought. Could Valles Marineris have once been filled with rivers, lakes, even entire seas? If so, what might have lived there? Did life find shelter in its depths, protected from the harsh winds above? The sheer size of Valles Marineris makes us wonder if Mars once held secrets of biology, not just geology. And perhaps some of those secrets remain, buried deep where the sunlight cannot reach. But curiosity grows once again, because if Mars once had flowing water in Valles Marineris, where did it go? Was it locked in ice? Was it stolen by the sun, stripped away molecule by molecule? Or does some of it still hide, waiting beneath the canyon floor in underground lakes we have yet to discover? As we follow these trails of thought, Mars becomes less of a dead desert and more of a world with echoes. Echoes of rivers, echoes of oceans, echoes of volcanoes that once lit the sky with fire. And still, the giants do not end. Mars holds yet another marvel, the polar regions. Here, ice caps grow and shrink with the seasons. Layer upon layer of frozen water and carbon dioxide mark the passage of time like rings in a tree trunk. The layers may hold a record of the Martian climate stretching back millions of years. But the question strikes again. What would those layers tell us? Did Mars experience cycles of warmth and rain? Did its giants, like Olympus Mons, erupt and shift its climate? Did ice melt into rivers that once more carved the land? And if Mars cycled through ages of life and death, is it possible that life had more than one chance? Everywhere we look on Mars, curiosity only grows sharper. The giants, the volcanoes, the canyons, the ice caps are not just dead features. They are storytellers. Each holds a piece of the Martian history puzzle, and each demands an answer we do not yet have. Here's a thought to stir the mind. When rovers and orbiters photograph Olympus Mons or Valles Marineris, they do not just capture rocks, they capture time. A frozen moment of a planet that once breathed with fire and flowed with water. So ask yourself this: If we could stand at the edge of Valles Marineris, staring into its endless abyss, would we be looking into geology or into history? Would the canyon whisper back to us about ancient floods, ancient climates, and perhaps ancient life? And if Olympus Mons erupted again, if its fire returned, what would Mars become? Would it awaken as a living planet once more, reshaping its deserts into something new? Or would its eruption simply remind us that Mars is not as dead as we think? The giants of Mars are silent now. But silence is not the same as death. Mountains hold memory. Canyons hold secrets. Ice holds whispers of past climates. And somewhere, hidden within those whispers, could lie the answer to the greatest question of all. Was Mars ever alive? And just when you think the story of Mars's giants has reached its peak, another thought rises. What if Earth is not unique? What if Olympus Mons and Valles Marineris are not accidents, but warnings? Proof that planets can change, evolve, collapse, and lose everything. If that's true, then what does it mean for us, standing here on Earth, staring across the void at the red world of giants, the Great Decline? Mars once thrived. Its skies were thick, its rivers flowed, its oceans stretched wide. But something catastrophic began to happen. A slow collapse. A decline that turned a living planet into the silent desert we see today. And here lies the great mystery. Why? What force could strip an entire world of its seas, its air, and maybe its life? To understand Mars's decline, we have to dig deep, not into its surface, but into its heart. The dying heart of Mars. Every planet has a core, a hidden engine that drives everything we see on the surface. On Earth, our molten core churns like a fiery ocean, generating a magnetic field. That invisible shield protects us. It keeps the solar wind at bay. It guards our atmosphere like armor, allowing life to thrive. But Mars was different. It had a smaller heart. Yes, it was hot once, glowing with molten iron and nickel, but because Mars was only half the size of Earth, it cooled far faster. And as it cooled, something terrible happened. Its magnetic shield began to flicker. Imagine standing on a planet with no protection. Every moment, streams of charged particles from the sun slam into the skies, peeling them away, molecule by molecule. This is what Mars faced. Its shield failed, its skies grew weaker, and its fate was sealed. But here's the question. Did this happen suddenly, like a catastrophic collapse? Or did Mars bleed out slowly, over millions of years, losing its air and water, drop by drop? Scientists still argue. And that uncertainty leaves us wondering, was there a moment when Mars gasped its last breath of air? Or has it been suffocating ever since? The vanishing atmosphere. Close your eyes and picture the atmosphere of Mars long ago. Thick, warm, heavy with carbon dioxide. Clouds rolling in, rain falling, rivers swelling. A place where water could linger, lakes could stay liquid, and oceans could reflect a red sky. Now imagine it thinning. Not in an instant, but like a balloon with a slow, invisible leak. The gases drifting into space, torn away by the sun. Without the atmosphere, Mars lost its blanket. Nights grew colder, days grew harsher. Radiation from space blasted the surface, sterilizing everything it touched. But here's the haunting thought. If microbes existed in those waters, did they survive the change? Did they retreat underground, seeking refuge beneath layers of rock and ice? Or did the last traces of Martian life vanish with the last breath of its sky? We don't know. And that uncertainty burns at the heart of every Mars mission. The last rivers. Even as Mars weakened, rivers continued to flow, at least for a while. Some valleys are so wide, so deep, that only massive floods could have carved them. Was Mars racked by sudden catastrophes? Gigantic bursts of melting ice, torrents of water surging across the land as the climate shifted violently. Imagine standing there, watching the last river flow, knowing it would soon be gone. The final spark of a planet's vitality washing away into nothingness. But what if those rivers didn't vanish completely? What if they went underground, retreating into caves and aquifers hidden beneath the dust? What if even now water whispers through unseen channels, carrying with it the possibility of life? It's a thought too haunting to ignore. The frozen oceans. Look toward the northern plains of Mars. That vast basin, smooth, low, endless. Scientists believe it once held a great ocean, stretching across millions of square kilometers. Now it is empty. A desert of dust and stone. But what if the ocean never truly disappeared? Some suggest that ice, thick and ancient, lies buried beneath the plains. Layers of frozen water waiting in silence. Perhaps locked within those layers are clues to what Mars once was. Perhaps even the fossils of microbes suspended in time. And here's where curiosity stirs again. If that ocean froze, how much of it remains today? Could explorers one day dig beneath the surface and find not just ice, but evidence of a living world trapped in the cold? Volcanoes of fire, volcanoes of ice. Mars was once a land of giants. Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system, stood as a monument to the planet's power. But when the heart of Mars cooled, those fiery mountains fell silent. And yet, even as fire died, ice may have taken its place. Scientists now speak of cryovolcanoes, volcanoes that erupt not with molten rock, but with water, mud, and ice. If true, then Mars may not have been entirely dead after all. It may have coughed up bursts of water long after its decline began. Can you imagine it? A planet dying, yet still gasping, still trying to hold on, erupting with icy breath in a desperate attempt to keep water alive on its surface. If cryovolcanoes did exist, then Mars's decline was not a straight path to death. It was a struggle. A planet fighting against its own fate. And doesn't that make you wonder, how long did it fight? And is the struggle still happening beneath the dust, hidden from our eyes? The great dust. Without water, without forests, without oceans, Mars became a planet of dust. Fine grains cover the surface, whipped up by winds that rage across its plains. Sometimes the dust grows so powerful it swallows the planet whole. Global storms, wrapping Mars in a shroud of red for months at a time. What would it be like to stand on the surface during such a storm? The sun fading, the sky darkening, the ground trembling with endless wind. Perhaps in these storms we are seeing Mars's heartbeat, its last form of energy, its final reminder that it is not entirely silent. But storms cannot bring back oceans. They cannot shield against the sun. They are only echoes of a planet that once had more to give. The long silence. Mars today is a place of extremes. By day, its surface burns under sunlight. By night, it freezes to deadly cold. The air is so thin, standing there would feel like standing at the top of Mount Everest without oxygen. And yet, here's the twist. The silence is not total. Mars still speaks in whispers. Seismic tremors ripple through the ground. The polar caps shift with the seasons. Dust devils dance across the plains, leaving trails that can be seen from space. It is as if the planet refuses to be forgotten. As if, beneath its stillness, something continues to stir. But what is it? Is it the last mechanical twitch of a dying world? Or the quiet persistence of a planet not ready to let go? A question without end. The great decline of Mars is not just a story of loss. It is a puzzle. Each piece of evidence tells us part of the truth, but never the whole. Mars cooled too fast. It lost its shield. Its atmosphere thinned. Its water vanished. But in every answer, new questions rise. How long did water linger? How deep is the hidden ice? And most haunting of all, did life once walk this path only to fall with the planet it called home? The hidden oceans. What if Mars isn't as dry and lifeless as we think? What if, beneath the dust, beneath the cracked plains and endless deserts, something still moves, still flows, still survives? For decades, scientists painted a picture of Mars as a frozen desert, a place where water once roared, but now only lingers as memory. The rovers send us images of dust devils swirling like ghostly tornadoes, of canyons stretching across the horizon, of rocks that look more like scars than landscapes. To most eyes, this is the end of the story. A dead world, silent, abandoned by its oceans. And yet, the evidence refuses to stay silent. Even on the surface, hints appear like whispers left behind. Dark streaks crawling down hillsides as if something damp once seeped through. Minerals in Martian soil that only form in water. Layer upon layer of sediment stacked like a diary of rivers that once lived here. And ice, so much ice, lurking in shadows tucked away in the poles, buried beneath the dust. But ice alone isn't the most shocking part. The real question is this: could there still be liquid water beneath the Martian crust? Imagine it. Not great blue oceans shining beneath the sun, not glittering rivers racing through valleys. Instead, picture underground pockets, briny and salty, hiding far below, sealed away like ancient vaults. Not lakes that we could sail a boat upon, but strange alien seas where water is too salty to freeze, where it stays liquid even in the coldest depths of Mars. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? Mars is far from the sun. Its atmosphere is thin, so thin that liquid water on the surface would boil away almost instantly. The pressure is too weak, the cold is too merciless, and yet deep beneath the soil, safe from the harsh sky, the story may be different. Radar scans of Mars's south pole stunned the scientific world. Reflections suggested a buried lake 20 kilometers wide, lying beneath layers of ice. Some argued it was just a trick of the data, a mirage created by minerals. Others stood firm, saying no, it was too consistent, too real. Something is down there, something liquid. If true, Mars has more than ice. It has hidden oceans. And if Mars has hidden oceans, then life may still have a place to hide. Pause for a moment and let that idea sink in. Life, not in the open air, not in green fields or forests like on Earth, but in darkness, in silence, clinging to warmth from the planet's interior, surviving where sunlight cannot reach. Tiny microbes, ancient survivors, perhaps untouched for billions of years, waiting in saltwater caves beneath the dust. Think about Earth's own extremes. Bacteria live in boiling hot springs. Microbes thrive in the freezing ice of Antarctica. Creatures feed on sulfur near deep-sea vents, far below the surface of the ocean, where sunlight has never touched. If life can survive there in our world's darkest corners, why not on Mars? Mars's underground oceans would not be pretty. They would not sparkle with light. They would be briny, thick, maybe toxic to us, but for microbes, it could be paradise. A place where chemical reactions provide energy, where water is still water, where survival is still possible. Now picture this. Billions of years ago, when Mars was wetter, warmer, and friendlier, life may have begun on the surface. Small, fragile, microscopic life. And when the atmosphere faded, when the rivers dried and the seas vanished, maybe those organisms retreated underground. Maybe they adapted. Maybe they learned to survive in brine, in darkness, in hidden oceans that we are only now beginning to imagine. If true, then Mars isn't a graveyard. It's a vault. A vault of life, locked away beneath the sands, waiting for us to find it. And yet the mystery deepens. What would that life look like? Would it resemble microbes on Earth? Would it share DNA with us, hinting that life could travel between planets on meteorites? See something entirely alien, something so different we might not even recognize it as life at first glance. That's the haunting part. We don't know. Even if life is there, even if microbes still cling to Martian brine, they may be invisible to our current machines. We send rovers that scoop dust, drill rocks, and snap pictures, but they cannot dig kilometers into the crust. They cannot sip from the salty lakes beneath the ice. For now, the hidden oceans remain exactly that, hidden. Still, the evidence piles higher. Minerals on Mars match those formed in salty, evaporated lakes on Earth. Seasonal changes in methane have been detected in the atmosphere. And methane is tricky. It's often produced by geology, but on Earth, it's also produced by biology. Could the Martian underground be breathing? Could its hidden seas release faint whispers of gases, hints of something alive stirring below? And then comes the most exciting and perhaps terrifying question. What if those underground oceans are not lifeless at all, but teeming? Not just microbes, not just the simplest forms of life, but whole ecosystems sealed away in darkness. Tiny creatures feeding on minerals, bacteria forming mats along salty caves, an alien biosphere, independent of sunlight, surviving through chemistry alone. It sounds like science fiction. But remember, on Earth, life thrives without sunlight in places once thought impossible. In the pitch-black ocean depths, entire ecosystems bloom around hydrothermal vents. In Antarctic subglacial lakes trapped beneath kilometers of ice, microbes swim freely. Mars may simply be repeating what Earth already proves is possible. And think of the implications. If Mars holds hidden oceans, if those oceans hold life, then life is not rare. Life is not a miracle confined to Earth. Life is the rule. It appears wherever the conditions allow, even in the shadows of a dying world. But then another thought creeps in, heavier, darker. If life does exist underground on Mars, has it been evolving for billions of years, untouched, unseen, alone? Or is it frozen in time, unchanged since the ancient past, a living fossil clinging to survival, waiting for discovery? Would we even recognize it? Or would we look at it under a microscope and fail to understand what we are seeing because it does not play by Earth's rules? The truth may remain hidden until humans walk on Mars, until drills dig deep, until samples are carried back to Earth. And even then, what we find may change everything we thought we knew about biology, about planets, about the universe itself. Mars, the desert, the wasteland may still be hiding oceans in its heart. Oceans of possibility. Oceans of life. Oceans of secrets that remind us how little we truly know about our cosmic neighbor. And each clue we uncover pushes us to ask the same haunting question again and again. Is Mars still alive? Mars and humanity. What if Mars has always been more than just a planet? What if it has been waiting for us, watching us as we watched it? For centuries, humans have looked to the night sky and felt something stirring inside when they saw that red dot. Unlike Jupiter with its storms or Saturn with its dazzling rings, Mars feels different. Mars feels familiar, almost like a mirror of what Earth could become. The ancients didn't see it as a lifeless desert. They saw it as a god. The Romans named it after their god of war, fierce and unstoppable. The Babylonians linked it to their deity of destruction. The Greeks called it Ares, a symbol of fire and conflict. And yet, behind those myths was always one truth. Mars captured attention in a way few other planets did. Why? Because even without telescopes, even without rovers or satellites, Mars demanded our curiosity. Its blood-red glow pierced the sky. It seemed alive, vibrant, unpredictable. It was not just another star, it was a world. And as centuries passed, curiosity turned into obsession. When the first telescopes were aimed at Mars in the 1600s, astronomers noticed something unusual. They saw patterns, dark streaks, bright patches, polar caps that seemed to change with the seasons. Mars looked dynamic. It seemed to breathe. Giovanni Schiaparelli, in 1877, mapped what he thought were channels on the Martian surface. He called them canali. The word simply meant channels, but it was mistranslated into English as canals. Suddenly, people believed that Mars was not only alive, but perhaps home to an advanced civilization. Think about it. In a time before spaceflight, before modern science, the world was told that another intelligent species might exist right next door. Newspapers exploded with excitement. Could Martians be building vast networks to transport water across their dying world? Could Mars be a warning of our own future, a planet struggling to survive? Writers seized the idea. H.G. Wells wrote The War of the Worlds, where Martians invaded Earth, desperate to conquer a younger, greener world. Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote about John Carter traveling to a Mars full of kingdoms, deserts, and battles. Fiction and science blended, fueling a global fascination. Mars was no longer just a planet. It was a stage for imagination. A second Earth. A place where life could be, or had been. And then came the probes. In 1965, NASA's Mariner 4 flew by Mars. For the first time in history, we saw close-up images of the planet, and they weren't what people expected. No canals, no cities, just craters, just desert, just silence. Disappointment rippled across the world. Was Mars really dead? But curiosity never dies so easily. More mysteries and volcanoes. Viking 1 and Viking 2 in 1976 landed and searched for life in the soil. Their tests were puzzling. Some results hinted at strange chemical reactions, but nothing definitive. Scientists argued for decades, was that evidence of life or just unusual chemistry? And still, the questions grew louder. The rovers arrived. Pathfinder, Spirit, Opportunity, Blue. Mars seemed empty, yes, but also strangely alive. Opportunity found evidence that may one day be brought back to Earth. Step by step, the story is becoming clearer. Mars was not always dry. It was once wet. And where there is water, there is the possibility of life. And here lies the mystery. If Mars once hosted life, where did it go? Did it die with the oceans billions of years ago? Or is it still there, hiding deep underground in salty lakes beneath the ice caps? For every answer, Mars gives us 10 more questions. And as we uncover these mysteries, another thought grows stronger. Maybe we are not only meant to study Mars, maybe we are meant to go there. Humanity has dreamed of walking on Mars for decades. In the 1960s, after the Apollo missions, NASA planned bold journeys, first to the moon, then to Mars. But the dream was delayed. Budgets shifted. Priorities changed. Mars became a someday goal. And yet the dream refuses to die. Private companies now build rockets with Mars in mind. SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, speaks of colonizing the red planet, sending fleets of spacecraft, building domes and habitats, creating cities beneath its sky. NASA has its own plans, aiming for human missions in the 2030s. Other nations, China, India, Europe, are all watching, all planning, all imagining. But why? Why risk everything to travel to a world that is so hostile? The air is thin. You couldn't breathe without a suit. The temperature is brutal, often colder than Antarctica. Dust storms rage for months. Blocking out the sun radiation seeps through the thin atmosphere, invisible and deadly. So why go? Because Mars is more than just a destination. Billions of years from now, the sun itself will expand and swallow the planet. If humanity wants to survive, truly survive, it cannot remain on Earth alone. Mars is the next step. And beyond survival, there is something deeper. Curiosity. That same force that drove ancient astronomers to chart the skies, that same force that sent rovers across deserts millions of miles away. We go to Mars not only because we must, but because strange new forms of life. What will it feel like to stand on its surface and look up, seeing Earth as just a pale dot in the night sky? What will humanity become when we are no longer confined to one world, but two? Mars is not just a challenge of science, it is a challenge of spirit. And yet, as much as we dream of building habitats, as much as we imagine future Martian explorers stepping onto red soil, there is another thought that quietly lingers. What if we are not the first? What if Mars already knew life before us? What if, buried in ancient sediments, waiting in frozen seas, there lies the evidence that life tried once and failed? Would we see ourselves in that story? Would Mars be a reflection of Earth's possible future? And what if we are the continuation of a journey Mars began long ago? What if life began there, traveled here, carried on meteorites ejected from ancient impacts? What if we are the Martians, returning home without knowing it? The more we study, the more Mars feels like a riddle. A riddle written in dust and stone. A riddle humanity is determined to solve, even if it takes centuries. And maybe that's why Mars has such a hold on us. It is close enough to reach, mysterious enough to tempt us, dangerous enough to humble us, and familiar enough to remind us of ourselves. Every rovers will track, every photograph from orbit, every plan for rockets and colonies. They are not just science. They are human longing written across the face of another world. And as that red planet continues to orbit, silent and patient, we continue to ask, will Mars one day become our second home? Or will it remain forever, a mirror showing us who we are and what we might become? The eternal mystery. What if Mars is not just a frozen relic, but a mirror? What if its silence is not only the story of what it lost, but the warning of what we could lose? Mars is a paradox in every sense. It is a planet that looks dead, yet whispers of life. It is a world carved by water, yet now buried beneath endless deserts. It holds scars of unimaginable violence, volcanoes larger than nations, canyons stretching farther than oceans, and yet it feels fragile, delicate, almost breakable. When scientists trace the planet's natural history, they do not see only geology. They see a timeline of rise and fall. A world that may have once bloomed with oceans and perhaps life itself, and then slowly withered. But here is the haunting thought. What if Mars is not only the story of Mars? What if it is also the story of Earth's future? Earth thrives because we still have what Mars lost: a thick atmosphere, a magnetic shield, a balance of warmth and water. Yet climate, chemistry, and protection are not permanent gifts. They are fragile balances that can shift. And Mars is the proof that even a world so full of promise can lose everything. That's why Mars is more than a curiosity. It is a teacher, a warning, and a question mark hanging over all of us. If life began there, why did it not endure? If water once flowed freely, why did it vanish into dust? If Mars and Earth began as siblings, why did one flourish while the other fell silent? Perhaps, hidden under its crust, the answers remain, locked in frozen oceans, in mineral veins, in chemical fingerprints waiting for human hands to uncover. Perhaps, in studying Mars, we will not only uncover its past, but safeguard our own future. The final thought. Imagine this for a moment. You stand on Mars. The horizon stretches farther than your eyes can measure. The ground is red dust, crunching under your boots. The sky above you glows faintly pink, dimmer than Earth's, but strangely beautiful. And as the sun dips low, it casts long shadows across the ancient valleys and silent mountains. You breathe through the thin hiss of a suit, knowing this place once carried rivers, seas, perhaps even life. And then the question hits you with quiet force. Are you walking across a graveyard or across a cradle? Is Mars a world that died before its time? Or a world still keeping secrets, waiting for us to uncover them? The natural history of Mars does not end in the past. It continues today. Every rover that rolls across its surface. Every satellite that scans its frozen poles. Every dream of a human stepping onto that red soil. These are the next chapters of Mars's story. Maybe when humanity finally arrives, not just as visitors, but as explorers, we will answer the greatest questions of all. Did life ever exist here? Does it still exist now, hidden in shadowed caves or beneath icy plains? And could Mars become not just history, but our future? That is the mystery that keeps Mars alive in our imagination. A world that should have been silent, but instead speaks louder than almost any other. A world that warns us, teaches us, and invites us forward into the unknown. And so as we close this journey into the natural history of Mars, remember this. The red planet may be distant, but its lessons are close. Its silence may be haunting, but its story is inspiring. And its mysteries are far from finished. If you've enjoyed this exploration, and if you want to keep traveling with us across the stars, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to KM Celestial Journey. Because the universe is vast, the mysteries are endless, and together, our journey has only just begun.